In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles from any continent, sits a tiny island, so remote that barely 50 people live there. And even when the government tried giving away free land, almost no one wanted it. But why? This is Pitcairn Island. If you've never heard of it, you're not alone. It sits 3,400 miles from New Zealand and over 1,300 miles from Tahiti, basically in the middle of nowhere. To give you an idea of how far that is, Pitcairn is more cut off than Antarctica is from South America. It's farther than the space station is from Earth. This isn't just being far away, it's being completely isolated from the world. But here's the shocking part. People actually live here, or at least they're trying to. And their story begins with one of the most infamous crimes in naval history, the Mutiny on the Bounty. In 1789, Fletcher Christian and a group of mutineers seized control of the HMS Bounty from Captain William Bligh. Seeking a place to hide from British authorities, they discovered uninhabited Pitcairn Island in 1790. This famous story inspired the best-selling Mutiny on the Bounty trilogy and multiple Hollywood adaptations, including the 1984 film The Bounty, starring Anthony Hopkins as Captain Bligh and Mel Gibson as Fletcher Christian, alongside a young Daniel Day-Lewis and Liam Neeson. But while Hollywood romanticized the tale, the reality was far darker. The mutineers burned their ship after reaching Pitcairn, sealing their fate. They had cut themselves off from civilization. What began as a choice to hide became a curse of isolation. Researchers who have studied the island agree that this isolated community faces an existential threat. If current trends continue, the last link to one of history's most famous maritime stories could disappear entirely. But here's the twist in this story. The isolation that began as a choice for these mutineers has now become a prison for their descendants. And that brings us to the biggest barrier facing Pitcairn today: its incredibly difficult location. But history is only part of the story. Pitcairn's location makes it one of the hardest to reach places where people live. Believe it or not, in 2025, there is still no airport on Pitcairn. No regular ferry service, no cruise ship terminal. The only way to reach this island is aboard the MV Silver Supporter, a supply ship that makes the journey from New Zealand only once every 3 months. The trip takes 3 days across the open ocean. Even compared to other famously remote locations, Pitcairn stands out. Tristan da Cunha in the South Atlantic at least has regular scheduled ships. Even Antarctica has established air routes and research bases. The British government, which oversees Pitcairn as an overseas territory, has acknowledged in official reports that the island's extreme isolation poses a fundamental challenge to its survival. Strong ocean currents and winds make sailing there dangerous. The island itself makes things even harder. It's mostly steep cliffs rising straight up from the water. There's only one proper landing spot, a tiny bay called Bounty Bay, and even this is often too dangerous to use due to rough seas. When ships do arrive, small longboats must navigate through a narrow passage in the rocks. As Tony Christian, a Pitcairn Islander with decades of experience navigating these waters, told National Geographic in 2018, Bounty Bay is one of the most dangerous landings in the world. You don't just sail in, you look at the swell and the wind and often decide if it's too risky to attempt. And this extreme isolation has led to the island's biggest crisis. Its people are leaving, and almost no one is coming to replace them. In the 1930s, Pitcairn had over 200 residents. Today, there are fewer than 50, and the numbers keep dropping. Think about that, a community that's losing over 75% of its population in less than a century. The island's only school closed in 2004, when there weren't enough children to justify keeping it open. Young families face an impossible choice: leave or deny their children an education. Most people there are getting older. The average age is over 50. Without young people staying or new people moving in, the community is slowly dying out. But why would anyone leave Paradise? Freshwater is limited to what can be collected from rainfall. During droughts, rationing becomes necessary. Every item from food to medicine to building materials must be brought in on those quarterly supply ships. If you run out of something essential, you might wait months for a replacement. Medical care on the island is extremely limited. According to official UK government reports, there's typically only one medical professional on Pitcairn, and serious conditions require evacuation to New Zealand, a journey that can take days to arrange depending on weather and ship availability. While satellite internet arrived in 2018, it's expensive and unreliable. Perhaps it's time for Elon Musk to step up with its Starlink constellation. As Pitcairn resident and former mayor Charlene Warren Pugh told The Telegraph in a 2018 interview, our young people leave because they want education, they want jobs, they want opportunity. There's nothing here for them except isolation. With their community facing extinction, the island's leaders made a desperate gamble, one that seemed too good to be true. In 2013, facing this population crisis, the Pitcairn Islands government took a dramatic step. They began offering free land to anyone willing to move there. Yes, you heard that right. Free land in Paradise. According to the official Pitcairn Islands immigration policy documents, the government launched this initiative specifically to address the declining population and ensure the community's survival. The offer seemed generous, a half-acre plot of land free of charge. All you needed was £30,000 in savings or assets, a sustainable housing plan, and to be under 45 years of age. The government even created a comprehensive immigration strategy with the slogan, "Come home to Pitcairn." The results? After 10 years of offering Paradise for free, guess how many people moved to Pitcairn permanently? Fewer than 10. And several of those have already left. One person who moved there but left later told The Guardian in a 2015 interview, "The isolation is romantic until you live it. When the supply ship doesn't come because of rough seas, when you need medical care that isn't available, when simple tasks become major logistical challenges, that's when you question your decision." The money situation is just as tough. All building materials must be shipped in at a huge cost. Solar panels and generators aren't extras, you need them to survive. Often, shipping your stuff to the island costs more than the stuff is worth. As Carrie Boy Young, a Norwegian who successfully relocated to Pitcairn in 2013 as part of the immigration program, told The Guardian in an interview, "This is not a place for the faint-hearted. You need determination and resourcefulness to make a life here. The beauty and the freedom come with real sacrifices." So, what does the future hold for this vanishing community? Let's look at the possibilities, and they're not looking good. If things keep going this way, Pitcairn could become something that sounds like science fiction. A ghost island. Imagine it. Homes still standing. Roads still there, but completely empty of people. The site of one of history's most famous stories abandoned to nature. Experts predict the population could drop below 30 people by 2030, reaching a point where the community simply can't function anymore. Could technology offer solutions? Drone deliveries could theoretically overcome the island's accessibility issues. Faster, more seaworthy vessels might make the journey less daunting. According to the Pitcairn Islands tourism website and official government communications, they have been exploring technological solutions to their isolation, including improved satellite communications and potentially more frequent shipping services. The rise of remote work offers another glimmer of hope. With improved internet connectivity, digital nomads might find Pitcairn's isolation appealing rather than limiting. But these are possibilities, not certainties. As Brenda Christian, a direct descendant of Fletcher Christian and a former immigration officer for Pitcairn, stated in a documented interview with Radio New Zealand in 2016, We're not giving up. This is our home, and we're fighters. But we need more than just visitors. We need people who are prepared for the challenges of island life. Pitcairn Island is a strange contradiction in our connected world, a place that's famous but unknown, beautiful but harsh, offering free land but finding almost no one who wants it. So I'll leave you with this question. Would you move to one of the most isolated places on Earth if given free land? Would you trade modern conveniences for pristine beaches, star-filled skies, and complete freedom from the chaos of modern life? The future of Pitcairn may depend on how people like you answer that question. Anyway, that's that. YouTube thinks you'll like this video, how Australia is turning 10,000 square kilometers of desert green. So click it, and if you made it to the end, subscribe.